quietly and follow along. At any point, click the pause button to catch up or take a break. Hey artists, today let's make a paper paint palette. I have with me a 9 by 12 inch tan or peach construction paper. I have a pen so you can see my lines clearly in the video. You are probably going to want to use pencil, and off to the side I have a variety of scrap paper colors that's going to be my paints, and you get to choose what color you want your paints. But first let's start by making our palette. Now palettes come in all different shapes, but in general they are an oval. So on my paper, as big as you can, let's make a giant oval. And they do have like this weird curve to them in this area. We're gonna add that next. So I'm gonna make mine towards the bottom. It's gonna curve in, and then curve out, and curve and connect to the edge of the palette, right? So, and then near that, we do have a little thumb hole. So it's just gonna be a basic circle, and it can be any side of that. That is so it gives your hand a place to slip under and kind of grab it and work comfortably as an artist. So I am going to cut it out. I'm gonna start by cutting out the outside of my palette. Now remember, we're gonna be curving in and then curving back out. Okay. Just like this. Okay. I didn't cut perfectly on my lines because I wanted to adjust it a little bit, and you can do the same. Feel free to adjust it and erase your pencil lines as needed. We want to cut out that circle, but without stabbing or whatever. I'm going to show you this trick. You're going to flip over, fold the paper. Here I can see the circle. I only want to see about half the circle, and put a small crease down so it looks like this. Okay. Now you're going to take your scissors and cut a little line in your circle. Open it back up, and you'll have a slit or a hole. That is where then you can then insert the blade of your scissors and then cut to and around that circle. This is the most neatest technique and easiest way to get inside of a shape when you are using paper, and it's also pretty safe as long as you're aware of what you're doing. Here is my scrap on my inside. We're not going to need that anymore. And here you can see my palette. I'm going to flip it over though so I get the nice clean side without any pencil marks. Don't worry about the crease, you can always flatten out your paper. Congratulations! Now we get the fun part of decorating it and putting paint on it. What paints do you want to use? You get to choose. I have a variety of colors here. I'm going to begin with my red and my pinks and kind of go up the rainbow and around my palette as we go. Okay, so when you make your paint splats or your paint circles, it can be very organic shapes. It doesn't have to be very tight. It can have some waviness to it, like this. And then you can cut it out and paste it on your palette. Okay. If you don't like your pencil line showing, flip them over. You could put them on your palette to see, if it's too big or too small or how much room you have for your next colors. Okay, same thing. I'm gonna go to my red, and I'm gonna make my red a little bit more crazy. Okay. There we go. Ooh, I like how the red turned out. Okay. I'm going to move on to my next color now, which is orange. Okay, or you can choose any color you want. These are just scrap pieces of paper, so I can, size it as I need. I'm going to make my orange a little bit bigger. Sometimes scraps have other people's shapes cut out on them. Don't worry about it. You can just shape your paint however you need to. there we go. And I'm gonna flip it around on my canvas or my palette to see how I like it. I'm next gonna go to yellow. And I just wanna make my yellow on the smaller side. Okay. Now, a pro tip again, artists, if you are drawing a shape, put it closer to the edge of the scrap paper. That way you are cutting out less and wasting less because you won't have to cut to the center of the paper. Makes sense? All right. Ooh, I like how that looks. Fun, fun. I'm gonna go to a light green now. I'm gonna make it really big. There we go. Oh, this is looking so fun. I also have, lucky me, some dark green. I'm gonna go back to making a smaller, skinnier shape for this paint splat. Ooh, I'm really liking these shapes. They're looking really great. Next, I'm gonna go to this teal color. I just kind of like it, something different. I want to make this one super splatty, so we're gonna make like a teardrop shape. Come in and out, in and out, in and out. So if you have some tighter areas, another pro tip is to cut out the main areas first, some of the larger areas, and then go back when you have less paper to maneuver around in your hands. Go get some of those smaller details. Okay? I do encourage you artists to build some smaller details within your paint splat to get good practice at those cutting skills. Those cutting skills are going to come in very much handy as you get older. And that's where I'm gonna put that paint splat. Now I'm really craving some dark blue in my picture, so I'm gonna bring that over. Again, I kinda wanna make this one a little bit on the bigger side. All right, now just for fun, what you can do is you can do some paint splats or some streaks to look like somebody painted a cross. A paint splat is going to be a simple teardrop shape. You're going to make a curve and then bring it to a point. Okay, I'm going to have a couple teardrop shapes for my dark blue. And they could go like this on your paper and your palette. Put it right over here. And my last color is going to be this purple. Okay. I'm gonna make it kind of like the pink, more on the organic side. Medium, not small like my yellow. You can make yours however you want. Maybe you're an artist that you have a certain color scheme. There's a certain array of colors that you just particularly enjoy working with because you like the way they look or make you feel. You can add those. You can do different color tones or tints and shades of a color as well. And that is my palette. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue down each of these colors. Okay, I'm going to be using a glue stick. There we go. This one's better. Okay. Now, as you're gluing, it really helps to put the pencil lines to the back. So glue where the pencil lines are, so that way you don't see that when you put it on your palette. It makes your work look a little less neatly done, or more neatly done, excuse me. Okay. I also suggest artists that you do the larger paint splats or pieces first. That ensures that you'll have enough room for all your smaller ones and you can kind of put it around the big pieces. Don't be afraid to overlap colors as well. Ooh, that might be kind of fun to do to my purple over here. I'm going to change that location of that blue. How fun. Sometimes when palettes get super full of color, we call that being like muddy or layered. All right, as I approach the last of my paint splats on my palette, we're gonna move on to adding more details to our palette. Now we want the paint to look wet and shiny, and the way we can do that is by adding a highlight using crayons. Be sure to cover up your glue stick, y'all. We don't want that to dry out. And get your white crayon. I'm going to start in my darker colors so you can see a little bit more of what I'm talking about. With your white crayon, you're simply going to draw some inside strokes or lines. Okay, they could even be a little dot to show the shine. Curved to match the edge of the splat shape. Okay, and you don't have to do a lot of them. I just do about, 2 to 3 each splat, and you can see what a difference it enhances it. Okay. So definitely add the shine on your larger parts of your splat, maybe along some of the edges. Okay, like that. Even if you don't think it's going to show up on yellow, still do it. It's going to make a big difference to anyone viewing your artwork up close. Okay, the bottom edge of my right, and some of the edges of my pink. There we go. Totally modified this palette. Looks awesome. Okay. Other things you can do is you can take colored crayons and you can go around the edge. This could be a darker color. Try to stay on the construction paper, like of the color. This is going to add it more dimension because we're giving it a darker edge where a shadow would be. So here I'm coming in with my green, and it does not need to be perfect in any way, okay? So I'm going to do the dark green on the light green just so you can kind of see more of the effect I'm talking about. There we go. Again, total enhancement, really worth doing in my opinion. Now my blue and my purple kind of mix, so I'm going to use the purple crayon on the blue just for fun. How cool is that? All right, going to my red crayon. With your crayon, you can also add, paint around the color too. That kind of looks like it maybe splatted a little bit. That's a different way you can add splats. Here is my orange. All right, and then for pink, I'm gonna bring over my pink crayon. And we don't want to forget yellow. Now, yellow is pretty light, so in general, I'm going to go really light with my orange crayon to give it that extra pop. Okay. Other things you can do to make it enhance is I take a gray crayon and I go around maybe my hole or draw a line around the edge of my palette to kind of give it some dimension that way. Add a little shading if you want. There, just kind of makes it look a little bit more 3D and thicker. And if you really want to add more, you can take some other colors and add it maybe over the top of parts of the palette to really give it some pop of color. Okay, alrighty. And if you are into adding more shadowing, you can do that as well. That is our paint palette collage. Thank you for joining me. If you are really into this one, I think you're gonna need a paintbrush artist, so be sure to check that out, how to make a skinnier one. You can kind of freeform it with collage pieces, or check out my YouTube channel, how to make the magic paintbrush. Thanks for joining me today. All right, bye.